All right, I believe we are live, Mr. Anderson. 28
Mrs.
days.
Wilson, I know. Is
28
it
days.
to the
Yeah.
day? I love it. Wow. 28
I do
days.
a little countdown before we get on these to make sure but 28 days.
I can't wait. I'm very excited. I keep seeing the number of attendees popping up and accountants, advisors. We got a number of experts from the virtual family office. Yeah, it's going to be a blast. It's the first conference in person for me this year.
Yes.
And just a little sneak peek of who we're speaking to today. I also just heard it's Brandon's first in-person conference for 2022. Yep. So it's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, I mean, you know, these videos, we love to just invite some of the speakers that are going to be at the events with us, and just incredible thought leaders here today. Really looking forward to the conversation with John and Brandon. And Jena, do you want to do a little bit more of a formal introduction of our two guests today?
Of course. But can I just say that I knew that John was going to have some branding in the background, so I had to wear my shirt today. Got to know you, John.
Very nice. Cheers. Love it.
I should have kept this on just for you there.
Yeah. We would have been matching. It would have been great.
There we go. Yeah.
All right. Yep. Well, aside from the branding, let's introduce both Brandon and John. We'll start with Brandon. Brandon Hegg has over 14 years of sales production, leadership, and coaching experience. He started his career with Ameriprise Financial and spent over a decade focusing on development and success of new advisors, and is currently helping advisors achieve both their personal and professional goals. Now, Mr. John Randall is a premier franchise consultant and a certified master coach who hit #1 in GDC growth on the FC scorecard for advisors that he works with all over the country. With more than 15 years of experience as a practicing advisor, he helps financial advisors really get to where they want to go in their practice. Now, Brandon and John, you're very familiar with a lot of members of our community, so you'll see a lot of familiar faces in Nashville. What can people who haven't met you yet expect to hear from you in June?
It would be so great to see those we know, and we know some of the other speakers as well. But hey, we're all about growth. So we've been in the trenches with you, both me and Brandon. We've been advisors, and we've gone through the trials and tribulations that all of you have, and we've learned what's worked. And working with many advisors across the country and their partners, we see what's working really well. So that's what we're going to share, what's really working in growth. There's 2 ways to grow, really simply. Do more with existing people, existing clients, do more with new people, new clients, better clients. So we've got some great techniques that are working in those areas. So I'll be going a little bit deeper into what are things that we can do with existing clients. And then Brandon's got some great techniques around how to ask questions to lead to new business. So you've got an opportunity, whether it's simple as like a rollover or whatever it may be. He's got a great questions. And also he's kind of our expert in acquiring new clients, which you'll quickly see. So Brandon, give us a highlight there of asking questions and acquiring new clients, and what some of the crowd can expect from you.
Yeah. So again, thanks, John. And thank you for the intro, Jen. It's always awkward to listen about yourself, but you did a wonderful job. As Anton said, it'll be my first conference. I'm super excited. Got a haircut a month in advance, so I'm going to look sharp, I promise. But on stage, one of the things that I find we get the most bang for our buck, and where the most value comes in when you're speaking to a group and trying to give information quickly that you can take and go use, a lot of it is around how do you ask questions. So one of the things that I find a lot of advisors, agents, any professional, any salesperson, I mean, I was talking to a car salesman who has a problem with this before. It spends all this time on facts, figures, and logic. And as we know, logic doesn't always sell. So what's the missing piece? How do you ask the right questions that's going to get past that and actually turn a sale into an ask? The clients are going to start telling you that they want to do this. And what's even more fun is how do you then take that and use it with your CPA targets? How do you teach your CPAs how to ask these questions? So now you are bringing them value. No one else is going to bring them. And if you're talking about trying to create a level of reciprocity where you want to give them to get maybe a meeting, maybe get a partnership, get some referrals, we're going to arm you with the tools, the questions, how you can bring something they haven't seen before in front of them to really help you build your brand and drive more of the relationships that you're looking to build to get that quantum growth. And when it comes to client acquisition, I know I've been talking a lot, but again, we're going to give you some key tools, and we'll even give you a specific way that you can start asking for referrals. Again, it's easy enough that you can do it, then you can take it and start sharing it, because we know CPAs, we know other professionals, they need the things that work. So we're going to put in front of you all the tools to help you grow, but then show you how you take that and start spreading that word so you can start building not only yours, but also the people that you work with and your target CPAs, their practice as well, making you the experts, not us. So it's going to put you in a position to drive there. And that's the goal. Everyone wins that way. Love
it. Well said. So I heard, well, actually, it was a compliment that was given to me, and I want to give it to both of you gentlemen. And then I'm going to go to a question with it, which is, somebody said the other day that they appreciate that I was a student of the game. And I was like, I like that. I know both of you take this very seriously. I mean, we've had conversations about what you study, what you read, what you just, this is the passion and the life. With your vantage point of being two students of the game, go a little bit deeper for me on in Nashville, and if it's just one or two examples that you want to share, but like what is it? What's working well that you're seeing? And obviously we don't have like enough time to go deep into the how, but what are you seeing that's working well? What are some of the examples of questions that are good questions? Like, let's just go there for a second.
Yeah, I'll start with, some fundamentals that have always been around, I think always will. Yes, the game is always progressing and changing in both businesses, with CPAs and their clients, with financial advisors and their clients, with insurance agents and their clients. It's always evolving, but there's some fundamentals that will always remain the same. And probably the biggest one that absolutely works is the experience of the client. What's it like to do business with you? That's probably the most important thing. When people ask me, hey, John, I want to grow, I want to attract more clients, I usually start there. Say, well, what's going on? What's it like to be your client? Is it really good? Is it lackluster? Is it not good? Because probably a lot of growth opportunities lie there. And if we're always sharpening the saw on what we do with existing people, it's the quickest path to growth with existing people. And it's going to lead to advisors that work on that and professionals that work on that. They get new business by accident sometimes, because suddenly the experience is better and people talk about it with others. And it just happens without even, having a really easy referral positioning that works. So I'd always say start there. It's an age-old fundamental. That's probably the easiest thing that I see.
Let me paraphrase this, and you can tell me if I got it. So before we're even worrying about how do we do better marketing to acquire new clients, first, we need to take a look at our house and make sure we've got everything in order. So first and foremost, let's look at the client experience and make sure that's what we really need it to be. Then we can worry about acquiring new clients into. Yep.
It's a simple thing that's often overlooked in a lot of companies, not just in our financial industry, but a lot of companies in general overlook just how important that is. Whether you're flying on a plane, staying in a hotel, or the things we'll experience going to Nashville here in 4 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll see some good experiences and you'll see some that aren't, that it's kind of fallen off. So you got to make sure your experience doesn't fall off. It's always more on the amazing end. And at least for your best clients you want to duplicate, at least make sure it's really good for those people.
Brandon, same question to you, man. One or two, like, what are some examples of the questions when you talk about asking better questions? Like,
yeah. So I think the first thing that you really want to keep in mind as you're meeting, and a lot of these questions come when you're meeting with someone new. So as John said, look at what your client experience looks like, clean your house, as Anton said, but then think about how do you present and interact with people the first time you meet them. What I say and what I use a lot is be interested, not interesting. Nobody cares, how many people you help, what returns you get, what level of XYZ, what car you drive, how successful you are. Nobody cares about that until they know that you care about what they need. So coming to the table, imagine, I guess one thing I always say is imagine as if you're going on a first date. You're just trying to figure out a different type of relationship, right? If you went out and talked about yourself the whole time, you're not going to get a second one. But if you're asking questions, so going deeper than tell me about where you are now, where do you want to be? Go further. Say, hey, that's a really cool goal. How's it going to feel when you get there? Have you thought about how you're going to celebrate if you're able to achieve that? If you know that in 3 years you want to grow by 20%, how's that going to change your life? What does your new life look like? And start asking those deeper questions where people are going to start to believe that, wow, John knows what I want. He gets me. No one's asked that. And they start associating those really good thoughts, those really good feelings of success with you. And wow, when I met with John, he made me feel so successful. And I thought about this. I want to be around that person more because they made me feel so important. People want to be around others that make them feel important. So we'll talk a lot about how to progress that, but be interested, not interesting, make people feel important. That's a big gap that continues to be out there.
Love it. So let me just run with that for a second.
Mm-hmm.
This came up on a group coaching call we had this morning. An advisor said, I know I should be asking better questions, but I'm actually like nervous to do it. I'm scared to ask. What do you say to somebody, an advisor or an accountant like that, that's actually fearful to ask deeper, better questions?
And that's a great question. And that is a fear that's out there. And it's thinking about, where does that fear come from? Is it because I feel like I'm interrogating? Is it because I feel like I'm going to challenge? But if you come at it from curiosity, I'm curious. I'm wondering. I'm not trying to judge, right? There's an old Ted Lasso, if you've ever seen that show, there's a really good quote on there. And it says, be curious, not judgmental. And if you're being curious and you're asking because you genuinely want to know, then you have nothing to fear, because it's coming from a place of absolute, I want to understand so I can help. I'm actually just curious. I want to know you. I want to learn what makes you tick. And coming from that, if that's where you set yourself, you've got nothing to be afraid of, because the number one thing people love is talking about themselves. I mean, you ask a question and John and I run because it's about us and it's easy. It's the best thing. I'm the best expert at me. And as you ask those questions, people will run with it.
Yeah. No, that's a really good point. I like that. A mutual friend of all of ours, Ray Kelly, says, just collect data points, and that kind of is what it reminds me of. You remove the judgment and you're just asking because you're curious and you're collecting data points. And that's powerful because most of us, especially on the advisor side, we've been taught to ask questions that lead to a predetermined destination, right? That's part of the selling. And that's really, I think, something that the time has come and gone for that. I think the better questions are the ones that you don't necessarily know the answers to, because then you're not trying to sell them on something. So I love the way you said that. Just be curious and not judgmental. John, you want to run with one other thing that's kind of was coming up for me too, as we were talking about this, was, so you work with a lot of different advisors, but quite a few of them are doing some pretty significant business. I'm intrigued to know, what role for you does mindset play in the advisors that you're seeing grow and do very well versus maybe struggling, or maybe won't even, work with a coach or a consultant? Like, how important is that?
Everyone that's larger, they started at some point, like we all did, right? All of us started at zero at some point in this game. And the ones who really been able to scale beyond themselves, which is probably the hardest leap to do. There's a sound barrier to like how much one individual can produce. And to go to, hey, I've got multiple advisors on my team, I've got multiple CPAs on my team. I mean, to really scale, that suddenly becomes about other people.
Yes.
And so those that kind of get over that hurdle, like John Cutton has certainly gone over the hurdle of, hey, if I develop people and I focus on leading them, I can grow a much bigger business than me being the one to do it all myself. And to really get out of our own way and realize that, the other advisors on the team, they're probably better at some things. They could be emerge to be better than you at some things, and getting out of the way of yourself and to let them ascend and do more for the firm and do more with clients. That's probably the single thing that's, really changed. It's a completely different way of thinking, that it's all about me. I have to do so much to, it's more about empowering others and giving them what they need and helping them get what they want to take it to the next level. That's the big shift.
Where is that ceiling from your perspective?
I see with financial advisors, it's like 1.5 million is like a sound barrier. I've seen a couple outliers like really push it that can do a few million by themselves. But I mean, they're doing like over 40 client meetings a week. It's insanely intense. That's not duplicatable. But I see so many build up to that point. They do all the things we're talking about. They do more with clients. They get lots of referrals on a target, and then they hit like a ceiling they just can't physically do anymore. So, we're seeing a lot of studies say that about 150 clients is probably max. Of it, there's a lot of, you listening probably have more than that. And it just gets hard to really grow and scale. So it's thinking beyond that, that ceiling before you hit it. Really having capacity before you get there will help you grow even faster. And it's a tough point. It's different thinking required. At that point, you have a whole new set of problems than you had trying to get to that point. So it's a tough, crossover that we help a lot of people through. But once you get through that, oh my gosh, that's when you can really scale a business and go from being just a financial advisor or just an accountant or just a professional to really being like a business owner and an entrepreneur and growing something.
Yeah, completely makes sense. And I think one of the hard things that you just touched on is knowing when is the right time. Because like you said, you don't want to be running on that hamster wheel so fast that you can't get off, you can't breathe. It's like, oh, I'd love to hire someone, but I literally don't have the time to interview people or train people. So you want to do it somewhere before ideally you hit that level. But you also want to make sure you've developed your skills and your revenue and everything enough that this is a sustainable path that you're on, I assume.
Absolutely. And you know what? The best way for someone to learn this business is for them to be in your client meetings. And guess what? If they're in the client meetings, they can probably take some work off your plate and help you with capacity. And they send in 100 meetings, they're probably going to be able to regurgitate stuff to other clients on your behalf for you and sound just like you. So it's the best way for someone to learn. It's the best way to alleviate, someone that's kind of busy. It's hard to train someone from scratch in this industry, has no experience, as someone maybe with a little experience. I'm seeing a lot of people come out of the big call centers for some big firms. Every big firm is call centers. People might last a couple of years there, kind of hit a ceiling there, and they might be looking for something else with a better practice where they'd have more growth potential. So look for people like that, get them in your meetings to help. It's the fastest way to learn. And, that can kind of help you get past that capacity conundrum because you got more help, and then have them take over more people down the road. It's just the little things like that have worked for others. And, Brandon and I did not make any of this stuff up. We just see what works out there, being a student of the business like you are, Anton, and learning from others and seeing, firsthand what's working out there.
Well, I mean, that is the ideal scenario or relationship with a coach, a mentor, hiring a consultant, is you're learning from others' experiences, so you don't have to trip over the same rock yourself. Or at least when you trip, you know what happened and you can get up quicker. Just might not always help you completely evolve the problem or avoid the problems, but you learn quicker.
Yeah, you do. What might take 5 years to get to might only take 3 because someone showed you a shortcut.
Yep.
And those are invaluable.
So maybe we wrap with this question, which is, from both of your vantage points, how are you feeling about macro picture, our industry overall, where things are going? We know there's an issue with age in our industry, people aging out. We know, like, up and coming, there's industries that might be getting a little bit more attention or more fun. But technology is an issue. Like, there's all types of issues, but where are you guys feeling the industry is going?
I'll just give a quick insight, and Brandon probably has more insights than me on this. We're all around the same age. For a lot of years, I've felt like the youngest person at a conference. I mean, like over 20 years, I felt like the youngest person at everything. So it's a good thing. If you're going to be in the game for a while, it's great. And it's the same in the financial advisor business. It's the same in the CPA business, where you've got a greater need emerging. More and more Americans need financial help, and they have way more assets. There's trillions of dollars about to move. And the number of advisors in the industry is expected to be half. And you look at the CPA business, I mean, it mirrors it. I mean, there's even, a bigger problem there. So you can figure out this capacity thing. I mean, this is the greatest businesses to be in. The need is growing. The number of people that can help is diminishing. Like, I'm a fan, but what's your insights on that, Brandon, where the industry is heading?
Yeah, I mean, took a couple of my points, but no, I think you're right. I mean, we're about to hit what do they call it, the great wealth transfer, right? All the baby boomers, as they get older, are going to start transferring wealth. And a big part of that is going to be financial advisors. As you said, Anton, we all know the age issue. So, as John said, the need, the desire, the appetite for that grows, the people that can supply it diminishes. We're seeing that in financial planning fees. They're going up, 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 up. And why are planning fees going up, but maybe management fees either staying stagnant or maybe dropping? It's because there's levels of programs that can help with the asset management, but you can't turn AI into a financial planner. It's so different, it's so unique, and that's the personal side of it. So I think that's the part that's always going to be protected. And again, as you see the prices continue to go up, what that just shows is the need is growing, the supply is diminishing. And personally, I've got a solid 30 years or so left in the industry, and I'm pumped. I'm actually bringing a buddy of mine. I was telling John this morning, I'm convincing him to a career change. He's younger. I said, get in the business now. So we're meeting next week to talk about, does he want to switch careers? Because this is going to be a booming industry for a really, really long time.
Jena, I know we're like inching up onto the end of our call, but I have one more thing. I just wanted to paraphrase Brandon's point there, which is I knew some of the data, but I hadn't really considered management fees are going down, planning fees are going up. And I think you're spot on there, which is one is a commodity and the other can't be replaced by technology or AI. It's relationship based. Talking about, John, your point earlier of things that are just fundamental and don't change. Human beings like relationships. We need relationships. So as good as online tools are, they'll never replace the ability of a human being to understand, ask questions, and develop plans. So that's a really interesting point.
Yeah, there's a neat article out there Vanguard put out, I want to say in February. And you could just Google it. I think it's called like Robo versus Human, but they did a big study and they realized that, oh no, the human aspect of this is not going away, which is why they're hiring CFPs as fast as they can.
Interesting. We'll find that. We'll include the link below this video when we post it.
Awesome. That's a great one.
Love it. I just love it. Think about the takeaways I got here, aside from what we just talked about. It's better client experience, be interested, develop your people. I mean, those are we talked for 20 minutes, and these are some real takeaways that our community can get from you guys. So I'm so excited for you guys to join us out in Nashville. And as usual, me and Anton could talk to you guys forever. I know we could. But, we are kind of getting into the end of our time here. Any last thoughts from you, Anton, or from you, John, or Brandon?
Well, just a quick thought from me, which is invest in the time, invest in yourself, learn from other people that are working with individuals who have done what you want to do. And I've used this quote before, but one of my mentors said, the best thing you can do for your career is surround yourself with people that have done what you want to do. So that to me is the reason why you take the time to meet people in person, come out to conferences, learn from experts like this, because it's just one or two ideas, but they can change your career.
Yeah, it can. And I think searching for those during those couple of days in Nashville is what's going to be key. And everyone's going to get way too many things than you can ever implement. There's going to be way too many ideas you could ever do something about. So if you just got one, hey, I'm thinking differently about one thing, it's the whole trip worth it. But I think prioritizing those is, I think that can help. Any techniques around that, Brandon, to get down to what's one or two things I could implement from a conference like this?
Yeah, I mean, my key is when I always go to a conference, make sure I always bring a new notebook, pencil. I like to write, right? That's my key. But then debrief each day. It's going to blur. There's going to be so much info. So each day I would go through and write now, later, someday, and start to identify what's your stuff you want to do now. What do you want to do later? What's someday that'd be nice. So by the time you get home, you can organize, all right, where are my ends, my nows, and then start working with your team to put them together.
Love it. Yeah,
Love
good
it.
suggestion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wonderful.
Well, if for some reason you don't have a ticket yet to come out to Nashville with us, go to elitegrowthacademy.com. It is June 23rd and 24th. Again, we're just under 30 days here. You can see the excitement that we have coming through this Zoom to you. So just think about how it will be in person. Really looking forward to it. John, Brandon, thank you so much. It was a wonderful time spent. So really appreciate it.
We'll see you there. 4 weeks.
Thank you.
So,
Thank
sign
you so
out.
much. Thank you, guys. Thanks, Jenna.